Mountaineer fans? Hello and welcome into another edition of Mountaineer Mafia. This week we'll go over what we did last week a little bit and get into our opponent this week, Texas State. So first of all, last week I thought the gold out uniforms were awesome. I thought the helmet looked really good. We all noticed that we really couldn't see the Mountaineer script down the center line in the black, but I think up close, like we said, it still looked pretty good to the guys that were right up on it. You could see that on there. They noted it on ESPN Game Day, which was awesome. I thought ours was certainly one of the best uniforms they showed on TV that day. So I don't think it hurts at all. I know that some of us don't love it. They want the all black all the time, but I think it's fun for the kids to change it up, and I think it's something that they'll continue to do, to be honest with you. And I actually liked it because it was more of a team color than the all white last year, even though I didn't mind that one. Other than that, I won't spend a lot of time on the game last week. I thought we did what we needed to do. I thought we performed about as well as we should have. I don't think there was anything that was terrible. I don't think there was anything that was totally amazing. I did think the passing game came to life a little bit more after what we saw down in Athens, so I was happy to see that. I'm glad we saw that against an opponent the quality of Savannah State. I'm glad we could get to the passing game and open it up a little bit. I do think our tight ends will hopefully still continue to be a big chunk of our offense moving forward from this point of the season. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that in the Georgia game, but obviously, as we know, we were going to have to keep those guys in there to block a little bit more in a game like that than we would have against Savannah State, and that's probably why they opened up the field and were a lot more noticeable against this type of an opponent rather than what we saw down in Georgia. I still think, obviously, that we got a great stable of running backs. I think Upshaw comes in and spells Jalen just fine. As we saw from the long touchdown run this past weekend, I think that going forward, we'll still continue to use that heavy two-back system, continue to establish the run, and you'll see that a lot for the rest of the season. But ultimately, we really don't learn a lot from a game like Savannah State. It's essentially a glorified practice in my mind. Not every FCS opponent would be for us. There's some tough ones out there, but look, Savannah State is bottom of the barrel. They are moving down to Division II, so we have to take everything with a little grain of salt here. We weren't probably quite as good as it looks like in the final score, but I do think we did things well. So I think we'll actually end up learning a little bit more this weekend from Texas State. So this is our first visit down to San Marcos in Texas in this series. Texas State themselves was 2-10 overall and actually went winless in Sun Belt play. So this will be a little bit more of a test, but I wouldn't say it's light years away from what we saw at Savannah State last weekend, although we will see some little things that will be different, and we'll note those here in a minute. Everett Withers is their head coach, former App State football player. He used to play here, but he never actually coached for us, so it'll be a little bit interesting. He's well removed from his playing time here, but we'll see how he does this weekend coaching against us. Going into the season, they were considered to have one of actually the best recruiting class in the Sun Belt. So we'll take that for what it's worth. Everybody's going to rank a little differently, but they've got some athletes. As you can see here, they've got a beautiful stadium. I think for those of you going or already there, really enjoy it. I know it's going to be a little warm for what we're used to, but I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and it's going to be a beautiful place to play a football game. So typically they run a little bit more of an up-tempo offense. It's not nearly the speed that Miami ran against us in the season past, but they do try and get to the line of scrimmage and snap the ball a little bit faster than some of the other teams we'll see. So our defense must be ready, as we know. For some reason, still continue to struggle with the up-tempo offenses that we face. When people run it into the game, we seem to struggle to pick it up and defend it well. So hopefully we continue to make strides on that front and do much better in a game like this one. So quarterback play, they've got quarterback Damon Williams. He's a graduate transfer from Mississippi State who actually played behind Dak Prescott previously. He's got a big arm, and he's a pretty big and thick quarterback. He's not real shifty and fast, but he does have the big arm, like I said. He does struggle a little bit with the accuracy. So we'll see how that can play into our favor this weekend. And then they've also got another quarterback named Willie Jones, who also plays more of like a wildcat quarterback from what I've seen. It typically takes a direct snap at a shotgun and either is going to run more of an option play or just keep it himself. I didn't really see him throw much in what I've seen on film. I'm sure he can, but it's not what we typically see out of him. So I wouldn't expect a lot from him. I wouldn't expect a lot of snaps, but he's certainly going to get some because he has the last 2 games. So then we'll move on to their wide receiver, their biggest wide receiver threat from a year ago, Elijah King. He led the team in receiving yards, and he's 6'2", and he's pretty quick. Now, last week against Colorado, he was targeted 4 times, had 0 receptions. Actually, one of those plays became an interception for Colorado going the other way. So, you know, he's definitely a good player, a great player at this level, but against a Pac-12 opponent, he didn't show up as well. So we'll see if we can do anything similar. I hope we can, but he will be a target for them against us this weekend. Then we'll move on to the running backs. Robert Brown Jr. is their go-to back. And then Anthony Taylor will also see some carries. Anthony Taylor's a little bit smaller, probably a little shiftier. Brown's a little bit thicker running back who's going to go between the tackles a little more often. Neither are truly flashy, and neither of them are anywhere near what I think Jalen Moore is for us. But they will try and pound the rock during this game. Defensively, they run out of a 3-4 just like us. They're a very strong team against the run. Even against Colorado, they did pretty well preventing them from running the ball all over them. So it'll be interesting to see how well our rushing attack can attack them defensively. It'll be our first, well, I guess it'll be our second great test this year. Obviously going against Georgia and the SEC defense they've got down there. That was pretty tough to do, but we still ran pretty well comparatively. So let's see what we can do this weekend against Texas State with the run game. I do see some things in film that I think we can take advantage of. The short, quick slants and the dump-offs to the running backs. It really should allow Taylor to open up that running game and continue to go back and forth. I don't think we need to attack all in one area. If we can really spread this team out, I think it's going to be a huge advantage for us in this one. Next, I want to get to linebacker Frankie Griffin. From what I've seen on film, he's one of their best linebackers, and he's going to come on a delayed blitz a lot of the time. So their linebacker core in general is pretty strong. So I think that we've just got to keep an eye on some of them delaying that blitz for a few seconds and help bring protection in there for Taylor so that he can not get knocked to the ground multiple times in this game. I think overall Texas State has athletes. I don't think that they've put it all together just yet, and I think that it may come. I mean, they're in a great state for recruiting, and they've got a great stadium to recruit to, a nice little area for the school to be in, so I think I could see that changing. I just don't think they've put it all together yet, and I think that for that reason, we will see a W coming out of this weekend to start Sun Belt play for us this year. I do think it'll be definitely more challenging than the Savannah State game. Obviously not as hard as the Georgia game. So I think we should expect a comfortable win here, shall we say. I won't go with a straight-up prediction. I'll leave that to Big C. But I do think we should expect a W to start conference play this year. Go Ats!